I would make the argument that the purest human love that seems to be running around in the world today, and has been, is the love that a parent has for a child. Now, you don't get to choose that child. You don't get to choose the gender. You don't get to choose how they look. You don't get to choose how they turn out. And you certainly, as they get older, starting when they learn the word no, and as they advance through life, you certainly get to choose or agree with their choices. And yet there's something that a parent has, not all parents certainly, but for the most part, that a parent has for a child, where perhaps because they were there from the start and almost know kind of who this person is in their most innocent form as a newborn, that there is a tremendous capacity to love, including putting up with a lot. Now, the other form of love that is such a beautiful witness to the purest love, which is God's love, is the love in a marriage. And in some ways, it's a little counterintuitive because you would think, well, in marriage, two people who are now older, more mature, supposedly at least know what they're doing in life, have a little sense of themselves, and they're making a choice for each other. And that ability to choose will make that love something that's going to go through lots of things. But we all know that that form of love oftentimes doesn't make it. There's various reasons for this. It does take two. Some of you know this painfully well and know that maybe it wasn't you that wanted to continue. It was the other. But certainly what happens in marriage is there's the choice of the person that you're marrying, and then over time discovering who they really are. Or that if you really knew them very well, that over time we change. We can be different. And it's difficult to adjust to that. And to say, am I going to choose with all of my being to love this person? I mean, love on any kind of level is certainly a challenge. And love on any kind of level takes an ongoing commitment. And we also know that even if at times we seem to be able to love fully someone else, or even God, that we're oftentimes not really doing it well 100% of the time every day. And we hear this invitation of the law, the commandment, the Shema, as we heard it directly in our first reading. Hear, O Israel. And a summation of all the different commandments and ways to live out the faith. I am the Lord your God, I alone. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And we say, wow, that's a hard commandment. And now Jesus adds on to that, love your neighbor as yourself. We need a lot of help to love God, to love anybody else well, even to love ourselves. And that love is worth more than any burnt offering or sacrifice. Because we can put a lot of effort in, but love is more than just effort or actions. Love is best modeled by the one who is speaking to us in the gospel today. Jesus not only speaks the commandments, he shows us. He shows us that actually love and sacrifice are most complete when they come together, as he did when he gave his life on the cross. And when we understand that, then we understand that God loves us in such a way that is so complete and so committed that is how we're invited then to love him back. That this commandment is really about how do we respond to a complete, committed love. And how do we at least strive to love in the same way? Knowing that it is so challenging because we're so limited and that we're so torn. And sometimes we're indecisive or just not sure now with whoever is in front of us, or not sure about ourselves. That when we are given the grace of the perfect love, that we can love in a better way. And I think what's most helpful for us is that God doesn't command us to love him perfectly. What he says is, love the Lord your God with all your mind, heart, soul, and strength, as imperfect as that is. And that when we do that, we will at least strive to love as Jesus does. And the love that comes from us and the love that comes into our life, we will find will grow over time. So we need people that set the bar high for us, to show us that this is not something that's so impossible. Or that if we were pretty good at it a while back and seem to have backslide, that we can't get back on track. That's why God gave us the saints. A couple weeks ago, we got some new saints. They're called the Martyrs of Damascus. In the 1860s, there was 3 brothers that there was a fire in town, and they went to the local Franciscan monastery. As they were there, the priest offered them mass and confessions, and they were just kind of just your regular old, they were actually Maronite Catholic, but just plain men of prayer and daily offerings, devotions. Francis, the oldest one, was rather wealthy, had 8 children, and barging into the monastery was some of the local power structure who were followers of Islam. And they insisted, now Francis had a little loan that he had to the local sheep. And they said, well, we can make everything go over smoothly. We can spare your family. All you have to do is renounce your Christian faith and say you'll be Muslim. He refused, and they martyred him on the spot. And as that was happening, in comes his brother Moody, married, not with children. Again, just a regular Joe Catholic, if you will. They asked him the same question. Will you deny your Christian faith and become Muslim? He absolutely refused. And they martyred him on the spot. And as they were going through, and there was a few clergy that were killed, martyred for the faith as well. A couple hours later, not actually realizing what had happened to his brothers, they find the youngest, the single brother, Raphael. Once again, deny your faith, become Muslim. And he absolutely refused. And I always think about these stories of the martyrs. I don't know about you. I don't like them. Because they're so challenging. I can't imagine being in those situations. Especially, I'm not a father of many children. I haven't gone through life trying to build up a business or anything. Just to leave that all behind for something greater. But I think we need the martyrs to invite us to say, God's love is the best and really only gift that we have and we need. And that the commandment is to love him with our all. The quote that Francis, the first one, gave was, he said, "The sheik can take my money. He can take my life. But my faith no one can deny. I am a Christian, and in the faith of Christ, I will die." Let's just at least strive to what the saints invite us to love the Lord our God with our imperfect hearts and our scattered minds and our incomplete strength. But let's still love him with all that is imperfect about us and make that sacrifice in this Mass today. And somehow in that, we will continue to grow and not only become better at loving our neighbor and ourselves, but loving God himself, who has invited us to hear his commandment and to love him because of his love for us.